All right, everyone, welcome in. Today we're stepping into a world filled with flour, sugar, and the sweet smell of success, because we're diving deep into what it takes to be a bakery shop manager.
Mmm, sounds delicious already.
It does, doesn't it? But trust me, it's not all frosting and sprinkles. Luckily, we have RoleCatcher as our guide. They're a career development platform with all the inside info on what this job really entails.
And let me tell you, it's way more than just having a love for baking.
Exactly. So whether you're an aspiring bakery owner or just love a peek behind the oven door, stick with us. This deep dive is going to be chock full of insights.
Definitely. And we'll break down the balance between that creative flair you need and the business smarts that often get overlooked.
Think about it. You're managing a team, keeping track of inventory, figuring out those profit margins.
Oh, and let's not forget navigating the world of online orders and e-commerce, right? That's huge these days.
Absolutely. And there's something really interesting RoleCatcher highlights. It's that staying on top of trends is crucial, like knowing what the next cronut craze is going to be.
Yeah. It's not enough to just rock those classic recipes anymore. You gotta have your finger on the pulse of what customers want.
So how does a bakery shop manager even keep up with all that? It feels like a moving target.
It definitely can be. Rollcatcher suggests diving into those industry magazines, maybe even attending a conference or two.
Ah, rub elbows with the fellow flour enthusiasts, right?
Exactly. And social media, believe it or not, can be a gold mine for seeing what's got people buzzing.
Makes sense. Got to stay ahead of the game if you want your bakery to be the place to be.
100%. Though it's not always going to be a piece of cake, right? Like any job, being a bakery shop manager has its ups and downs.
Oh, for sure. So let's talk about those. What are some of the things RoleCatcher points out, both the good and the maybe not so glamorous?
Well, on the plus side, you've got stability. People are always going to want bread, cookies, pastries. Those comforting carbs aren't going out of style.
True. And there's something so satisfying about creating something delicious from scratch.
Right. You're using your hands, you're being creative, and of course, you get to do a little taste testing along the way.
All right, let's be real. That's a major perk. But what about the other side of the coin? What are some of those challenges RoleCatcher prepares us for?
Well, long hours are definitely a thing, especially when everyone's craving those weekend pastries or holiday treats.
Yeah, those early mornings and late nights can take a toll, I'm sure.
They can. Plus, it's a physically demanding job, and the buck stops with you. Lots of responsibility, which equals, you guessed it, potential for stress.
So it's about more than just loving the smell of fresh bread, huh? You need some serious stamina and a knack for handling the heat.
You got it. Speaking of which, Rollcatcher dives into the specific skills needed, and some of them might surprise you.
Oh, do tell. What kind of hidden talents are we talking about here?
Well, they say that about 61% of the job relies on production and processing knowledge, and I'm thinking that goes way beyond just knowing how to use a mixer.
Okay, so break that down for us. What does that 61% actually involve?
Well, imagine sourcing those ingredients, finding the best prices, managing your inventory so nothing goes to waste.
Oh, I get it. It's about understanding the whole process, from getting those raw materials to making sure those cakes are rising beautifully right.
Exactly. And you got to be mindful of costs every step of the way. We're talking business savvy here.
Makes sense. It's like you're juggling flour, sugar, A&D spreadsheets all at the same time.
Pretty much. And don't even get me started on quality control. You're constantly checking those ingredients, fine-tuning those baking times.
You got to make sure every croissant is flaky perfection.
Yeah, got it. Consistency is key in this business.
I can imagine. People come to rely on their favorite treats always tasting just right.
Exactly. And that brings us to another big part of the job that Rollcatcher highlighted: customer service.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. A bakery is more than just transactions. It's about creating an experience.
100%. They found that customer service skills play into about 51% of the role.
Wow, that's huge. So it's
Yeah.
not just about handing someone a loaf of bread. It's about that connection.
Right. You might chat with regulars, offer recommendations, maybe share a baking tip or two.
It's like you're building a community around those delicious pastries.
Absolutely. And you know what's really interesting? Rollcatcher found that something called food production knowledge actually impacts about 57% of a bakery shop manager's job.
Okay, now that sounds intriguing. What does that even mean in the context of a bakery? Isn't it all about, well, baking?
You'd think so, right? But it goes way beyond that. It's about understanding the entire journey of those ingredients.
Oh, I see. So like, where does the flour come from? How are the strawberries grown? That kind of thing.
Exactly. Imagine you're sourcing raspberries for those amazing raspberry swirl rolls you mentioned. A good manager doesn't just pick the cheapest option. They're thinking about ethical sourcing, sustainable farming.
And probably how those choices might impact the bakery's bottom line too, right?
Absolutely. You got to balance those values with business smarts. Now, for anyone out there thinking of becoming a bakery shop manager, RoleCatcher has some awesome resources, including some pretty unique interview questions.
Oh, like what? Give us a taste of those curveballs.
Well, forget those generic, tell me about a time you failed questions. They get way more specific.
I'm kind of nervous and excited to hear this.
For example, they might ask, how would you deal with a situation where a key ingredient suddenly became unavailable? Or something like, tell me about a time you had to give an employee difficult feedback.
Okay, those are pretty tough. You got to think on your feet.
Exactly. They want to see your problem-solving skills in action, how you handle those high-pressure moments.
It's like a crash course in bakery management, right there in the interview room.
Pretty much. And for those just starting out, RoleCatcher maps out a pretty clear career path, all the way from bakery shop assistant to manager.
Oh, wow. So you can really see that upward trajectory.
Exactly. And they even give you a glimpse into a typical day for each role, which I think is super helpful.
It's like peeking behind the curtain at every stage of the journey. And speaking of looking ahead, got to ask about something that's been making waves AI in the job market. RoleCatcher is diving into that too, right?
They are, and it's pretty game-changing stuff. Imagine a platform that analyzes job descriptions to pinpoint exactly what employers are looking for.
Oh, so you can tailor your resume to match those keywords perfectly.
Exactly. It's like having a secret weapon for your application.
It sounds almost too good to be true, right? Like, does this mean everyone needs to become a tech whiz to even stand a chance?
That's a fair question, because not everyone's comfortable with all the latest tech, and that's okay.
Exactly. So how do we balance this brave new world of AI with, well, good old-fashioned hard work and experience?
Well, it's important to remember those tools are just that, tools. They can give you an edge, but they can't replace the things that really matter.
Right, like those years you spent perfecting your sourdough starter, or the way you can calm down a stressed-out customer with a smile and a warm cookie.
Exactly. Your passion, your people skills, your dedication to the craft. Those are things AI can't replicate.
So it's like, use the tech to your advantage, but don't forget about the human element that makes a bakery special.
100%. At the end of the day, it's about that connection you build with customers, the joy of creating something delicious, that love for the craft.
It makes you think about all those amazing bakeries out there, each with its own unique personality and story. And I'm curious, with all this talk about trends and technology, if you could design your dream bakery, what would make it stand out?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, we talked about transparency and ethics, right? I'm imagining a bakery that not only bakes incredible treats, but also tells the story of their ingredients.
Oh, I love that. So you know those raspberries in your croissant came from a farm that values sustainable practices?
Exactly. Or maybe they're supporting local farmers, reducing their carbon footprint.
It's like you're not just indulging in a treat, you're making a conscious choice.
Precisely. And hey, maybe they even have a little window into the kitchen so you can see the magic happen.
Oh, that would be so cool. Seeing those bakers in action, the flour flying, the smell of fresh bread, makes my stomach rumble just thinking about it.
Right. It's an experience, not just a transaction. And maybe your dream bakery specializes in something unique, like those gluten-free sourdough loaves everyone's been raving about.
Or vegan pastries that taste just as good as the real thing.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless, and I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so exciting.
It really is. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting to need those career dreams, there's so much to discover in the world of bakery shop management.
Absolutely. It's about more than just flour and sugar. It's about passion, resilience, and a whole lot of heart.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a treat exploring these insights with you.
Likewise.
And to all our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a taste of what it takes to thrive in this delicious industry. So go ahead, embrace your inner baker, and remember, with a little ingenuity and a whole lot of passion, anything is possible.
Until next time.